Oh, I didn't see the countdown. Weird. The
So
countdown didn't appear.
this was me. Like I was like, sometimes we have a little discussion before we start this about who introduces the podcast, and Neil was like, "I'll do it this time." I'm like, "Okay." So we do this Riverside thing. We've got a little kind of 6 down to 1 countdown, and
That six didn't come up on me.
and that
Weird.
little pause was just basically Neil not knowing what he's doing after 20 episodes of.
Anyway, yeah, episode number 20. Nice milestone to get to. Subject today is...
Oh wow,
we're gonna-
straight in, Neil. You know, no niceties, no like, hey Gordon, how are you? Hey Neil, how are you? He's just
I
gonna
would do this. I've been out the podcast game for a couple of weeks.
But you took that like deep breath in as if it was like it was a difficult it's a difficult Friday for you, even though you're off work and you can do whatever the hell you want. There's no kids or anything. They're all the way off to school or nursery, and you're just
True. Right, let's start with the niceties then. How's your week been?
Oh, thanks for asking, Neil. It's
What's
been a good
what's some highlights?
this week highlight wise. I'm not entirely sure. Like we had Monday off for our bank holiday, so that was quite fun. We had one of Laura's uni friends and her husband came to stay with us. So they were kind of like, we hung out with them, you know, going for like casual sort of summer walks. We're playing a bit of pool in the garden, which seems like a very middle class Surrey thing to do. For anyone that doesn't know what pool is, it's like I think it's a French game where you throw 2 balls at a small jack and whoever gets closest gets points. Neil played it when he was down, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So we did that on Monday. Then it was sort of back to the grind on Tuesday. And I've just kind of working all week from a like filming and editing perspective, getting all that organised. Ali's had an idea, which, you know, sometimes it concerns me when he has ideas. But I don't think it's to frame it better, I don't think it's a bad idea. Basically, he wants to start a daily vlog.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, most people will be like, "Oh yeah, so he's going to film it himself and edit himself and then upload himself. So all the burden and whatnot is on him." Nah. He's got a team, obviously. Me, the videographer guy, the editor guy, but then also we're roping in another one of the editors to help with the workflow and the process on the vlog. So I'm kind of nervous and kind of excited. It won't be a daily vlog in terms of 7 days a week. It certainly will be 5 days a week because, you know, your boy needs to actually see his wife more than he sees Ali. But it's kind of, I don't see why not. You know, I don't know what the vlogging state in the sphere of YouTube is at the moment. For those that are probably listening to the podcast, and if they're not familiar, there was a true inspiration of mine was Casey Neistat when he did his 500 odd days of daily vlogging. You know, it really sort of knitted itself into the framework of my life for the best part of that time he was doing it, and I would crave the upload to, you know, watch it every single day. It was kind of mid-afternoon, I think he'd upload by in the UK, and I just loved it. And I like the idea and the challenge of doing a daily vlog, and, you know, Ali has a team, right? He can do it, so why not do it? So that's been prepping for that and sort of organising it and, you know, negotiating and discussing with the editor that I'll be working with. So, you know, I hope and pray for both of us to see how we survive this overall process. Ali will be fine. He'll just get a video a day done for him. And then...
It's the content's going to be hard because sometimes days are just spent in front of a camera recording podcasts and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's, you know, this is the thing. We were discussing the idea of it being, you know, 3 minutes long, and that's it every single day. But I think that just limits everything. So to be fair, it could just be shorter. You know, it could be just a 1 minute video that gets uploaded if there's not that much happening. There could be like a really cool day, so we end up uploading for like a 20-minute video because it provides value and infotainment and, you know, a step into what Ali gets up to. So I guess, like, I don't really care. I also don't think people really care whether or not something happens or something too much happens every single day. I just think they want to follow along with a bit of a narrative of, you know, how is someone creating this business? Like, how are they building this business, and how is it working, and what does it look like, and what are the pitfalls, and what are the hardships, and what are the fun things? You know, just extract that from the day, I guess. And there's 2 of us, right? I'll be looking out for stuff. Ali will be thinking about stuff, but fundamentally, I'll be holding the camera and paying my, you know, undue attention to it. Whereas he might have some ideas that come up at certain times. So, yeah, there's definitely a challenge. Don't get me wrong, but I'm up for it.
Nice. So when's the first one going to start?
We start filming May 2nd. So he's off to Turkey next week on a holiday. So the week he comes back, we're going to start the daily vlog.
Sweet. Does that mean a week of a bit less work, a bit less 12-hour days?
Yeah. So Angus, my line manager, he's really great. Actually, we had our quarterly catch up review thing this week, and he's really great when it comes to, just checking in with me, making sure that I'm not overworking and that the family is a priority and I get to see them and that kind of thing. And to always sort of talk to him if if I ever think it's getting too much. So next week he was like, Gordon, just, take a couple of days off if you want because you're about to start the daily vlog. And I'm like, I think I might do that.
Nice.
So,
nice.
And then that was it. Yeah, they had the quarterly thing this week and that went really well. Good feedback overall. So I'm happy that, things are progressing. I'm past my probationary period, so I'm basically a full-on employee, and no one can easily get rid of me. Well,
nice.
Hopefully
4 weeks
not.
notice or something.
No, I negotiated higher than that. Just because I was like, nah, I'm not having 4 weeks notice. Not the job. Not having that. And then tonight I have a poker night with three friends of mine, who, regrettably, I don't get to see enough of, which is, I have a great time when I do see them, but we get to see them tonight, and when it's always great when we do catch up. So I'll keep the winning streak on the go. And also, last but not least, Neil, I'll get onto you in just a second. Last but not least, I forgot my Secret Santas at Christmas for them. So, being it now the end of April, I think it only appropriate to give them their Secret Santas. Anyways, enough about my chat. How's your week? You seem like after that sigh when you introduced the podcast, it seems like you've had a hard week, and you seem a little bit sad. But yeah.
I mean, I was off. I was off last week. I think we touched on that, and the podcast recorded on. I can't remember what day it was. But yeah, I was in Skye for the week, and then came back off on Monday. I painted a nice picture of what Monday was going to be like because the schools are back. It was just going to be me, Rebecca, might go out for some lunch, do something together, go for a run. But Sunday evening, a sickness bug hit the Greenhorn household. So Ben started off first, then I got it on the Monday, and I just kind of went downhill from there. So my relaxing Monday didn't seem so relaxing. And then
which end was it coming out of, Neil?
I don't think we need to
front or back.
Don't need to go in that much detail, Mr. Greenhorn. And ended up having to take a half day on Tuesday. Don't take many sick days in my life, but yeah, it was pretty minging. But thankfully, I'm back to normal. So my week's been a bit up and down. It's been highs and lows. This weekend, going out on a trailer run with a friend I haven't seen in a long time, which should be good. Nice 7 a.m. start, but the weather's meant to be amazing. And then we're going to crack out the pizza oven. So our dad got a pizza oven for his 70th, I think. So yeah, we're going to crack that out and make some pizzas in the uni oven, which should be good.
Awesome.
And that's it, really. Yeah, maybe a barbecue. I don't know about you in London, but the weather here is meant to be kind of 15 to 20 degrees. Sunshine.
Oh yeah, it'll be a good 20 down here. I was just thinking, actually, when we're both seeing friends that we haven't seen you probably haven't seen them for a bit longer than I've seen these boys. But what do you think the optimal time is between seeing people?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, when I've got a really close friend, Cameron, who I haven't seen in probably face to face 4 months, 5 months. I don't think I've seen him this year. We speak most days, like through text, through FaceTime and stuff. But I don't know what. I don't know.
Yeah, because the three guys that are hanging about, well, we have these sort of semi-regular poker nights. It's so hard to get together to do something because of the whole. We're all getting married or married now. Two of us have got kids and whatnot, and we live in London, but it's kind of different parts of London. One's actually moved down to like Brighton or whatever else, so it just feels so hard to be able to actually like connect. And that kind of annoys me. And I just wish we could find a way to make it all work. But it's not without trying. We've got a little group that we mess each other and watch that quite often. And it's just so hard to be able to coordinate four people. It shouldn't be so hard, but coordinate four people just to literally sit down for 5-6 hours and have a little poker night and a few beers and have some dinner and chat. But it just seems so hard, and I don't know how do our lives turn into that? Like, why do we let it turn into that? And why does it frustrate me so much? I don't know. I'm just riffing.
It's quite a deep question, and I just think it's business. I mean, I am a sociable person, but I also don't mind having that distance. I don't feel the need to see my friends every week or every couple of weeks.
No, I guess so. But then it's kind of like part of it is the longer you leave it or the longer you don't see someone, the almost weirdly awkward kind of situation it kind of becomes or manifests in my head. You're like, oh, do I really want to see them? And then you start thinking about, are they like actually a friend or blah, 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 blah.
Are they avoiding me? Should I make the first move?
Yeah, all that weird things that, you shouldn't really think about. But then when it's like 3 or 4 months, I think that seems to be not an unreasonable amount of time. Like 2 months is probably perfect. 4 months is starting to push too long, because then you've got a lot to catch up on and you might forget stuff or whatnot. Yeah. So I reckon it's probably there. But anyway.
Onto the subject, which I kind of teased at the start. So we're going to go over our careers.
Is that your idea of a tease? On today's podcast, we're going to talk about what jobs we did.
Yeah, no, I think it was quite a good one looking back, especially the kind of the paths we both followed. Had a similar start in the catering industry, and then went different ways. And we're somewhat back in. I mean, I joined a startup. Gordon joined a YouTube thing, which has similar vibes to a startup, I guess.
Definitely.
But yeah, I was thinking of a way to kind of break it up. So I thought we could discuss our kind of careers up until we were 20. So I'll go first, and then you can go, and then we'll discuss between 20 and 35.
All right. I'm keen.
So yeah, I started, let me get my notes up, because I've got the ages, because I had to think about that quite.
Neil, as any of the audience who are currently, just maybe one and a half people who managed to get to this stage, Neil is so well prepared. He was ready before me, and he doesn't even have his notes up, ready to have a sort of discussion about it.
I do now. So, my first job started off at the ripe old age of 14, when I was a kitchen porter in Pittodrie House Hotel, and it was I think it was probably about £2 or £3 an hour. Kitchen porter, for anybody that doesn't know, is somebody that just washes the dishes. So it washes the dishes from the chefs, washes the dishes from the customers that have eaten their food, and yeah, I think I really enjoyed it. You had a great banter with the chefs. There's 2 or 3 of you on at the same time in the same kind of role, so you kind of just got shit done. And a highlight for me in that role was I got my first pint, which at 14, I don't know if I should admit that, but I remember it was either Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. I think it was probably New Year's Eve. And one of the waitresses, Shona, I can't remember her surname. I want to say Bruce, but it might not be Bruce. Shona came through and asked if I wanted a pint from the bar, because it was celebrating New Year's, and I just sat in the staff room. I think I might have been on my own, just drinking this pint of Tennent's. Probably not enjoyed it, but yeah, that was definitely a highlight.
There's a kind of a weird bit here when you start work, isn't there? Like we started work. Like nowadays, I don't think you get a job when you're like 14 or 15, can you?
No, I think it's 16.
Yeah, or there's some sort of weird like measures you have to have in place to be able to do it. But I've just got this picture in my head, and it's like this kind of 14, 15 is this weird transition into being a man, right? You're not a kid anymore. And it almost seems like that situation that you had there was this kind of like odd sense of like new beginnings ahead of you, and you're transitioning into the new year, which is where you're becoming a man. And sat there drinking a pint of Tennent's lager, it's like it's a manly thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like all the chefs had one, and yeah, it was just a done thing, but it was nice at the time. It was a moment I remember. So obviously had an impact. It
is. I kind of have fond memories of that, because we both worked at Pittodrie House as kitchen porters, washing dishes and stuff. And it kind of it's a type of job which is, it's menial tasks. It's not high skilled or anything, but it still needs to be done, and it's an integral part of the kitchen, because the chefs don't want to wash anything. We have to do it. The customers need clean plates and all that kind of thing. but you are seen as the lowest of the low in the kitchen overall, and you're even lower than the waiters and waitresses. Like, I'm not sure there's any lower than a kitchen porter in terms of the pecking order of the kitchen overall.
Yeah,
but there is that. It's like it teaches you so much about turning up on time, like working hard, earning money, like earning your own money. That whole kind of, I worked for this. This is what I deserve to have, and because I put the time in, and I'm getting rewarded from it to a certain degree, I guess. I mean, £3 an hour or something wouldn't even probably buy me a coffee these days.
Yeah, and it also toughens you up. So the chefs in the stressful moments of a kitchen, they may not be the nicest, they may not treat you the best, but at the end of the day, you're getting the job done, and at the end of the night, they may or may not come and say sorry, or they may or may not come and say well done. And you sometimes get nice food out of it. And I remember that quite fondly, is there might be leftovers from a wedding or something that hasn't been eaten, and you sometimes get the leftovers, or you get to take them home.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's definitely a bit of bullying and whatnot that goes into the kitchen, and in that environment as well, you can't cower away from it. You either have to take it or you have to give it back. It's one or the other.
You can't speak to HR.
No, like there's no way. Like you've just got to suck it up, and you kind of, I suppose it's a good wholesome job for a bullish, boyish, transitioning manny type of thing going on. Like it's
and if you think about the hours, we used to work weddings. We did start at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then go on until 1, 2 in the morning.
Yep.
So after the KP job at Pataudry, I moved into Thainston House Hotel, which is a hotel near Inverurie. And when I was a waiter there for a couple of years, so I did that from like 16 to 18, and again, fond memories of it. Lots of hours. I mean, sometimes I do the breakfast shift all right the way through to the wedding, and then the kind of clean up at the end of the wedding. So it could be 12, 15-hour days. And at that age, I mean, I think again, it toughens you up. It shows you what work is, and a kind of a pivotal thing I remember from that time is at the age of 16, I had my bank account, obviously, and I remember thinking that if it went below £1,000, that wasn't great. And I think from a 16-year-old to have that in their head, I think it's pretty awesome. And I mean, a grand just sitting in a bank account, mad.
I suppose some of the arguments. I suppose some of the arguments around that might be like, well, why wouldn't you out like having fun with your mates?
Yeah, I know, but like I think for some reason I do also remember I did have fun. I mean, there's some stories of me in parks and stuff at a young age, so I found time to have fun. And I don't know, was I funding all my friends as well? I can't remember, but I seemed to be the one that definitely had the money, and I had this thing where I can't keep that money. I've got to keep my bank balance above £1,000. Don't know why.
Yeah,
moving up in the.
Are you literally? Are you racking off all of your jobs, or are we gonna?
I was going to go up until I was 20, and then I was going to pass it over to you.
Oh, okay, fine. Carry on, Neil.
And then,
you're in charge.
And then, I got is it a promotion, or is it like a rite of passage in terms of your age? I turned into a barman when I was 18.
I mean, I'm not sure it's a promotion, Neil. It's just basically you get old enough to serve alcohol, and one of the things that makes the most profit in a hotel is the bar staff. So you're basically thrust into that as quickly as you possibly can.
But you do feel a bit of superiorness to the waiters, I think, because they're running about with plates in their hands and you're just pouring pints.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah, so joined the barman club when I was 18, and really enjoyed that again. Working crazy hours, and then this was a promotion. So for 12 months, and I don't know where Gordon was in this time. Maybe he was doing his gym thing. He probably was at Thainston. I got promoted to Banquet Supervisor, so I was kind of the in between person from, I think there's like an operations manager type person who would run the wedding, and then I was the middleman between him and the kind of waiting staff. So that was quite good. That was kind of my first touch into, I don't know, team leading a bunch of school kids into doing a better job in the waiting industry. So, I mean, I spent, so that's up until I was 20, from 4 to 6 years in the catering industry, which taught me a lot of lessons.
What were they?
That was me. Just hard work pays off. The more hours you do, the more money you're going to get in the bank. The just getting shit done. So when there's a wedding on, there's a lot to do, and generally there's not many breaks during that time of the wedding. So it's just a team effort to get things done, and also how a kitchen operates, and has that it's probably made me a bit more productive in our kitchen. So I might be a better chef by seeing what the other chefs are doing, how they're cooking, maybe hearing tips from. I remember there's a chef called Wojciech post chat.
Oh yeah,
and he used to always give me tips on cooking and stuff, and I think that's probably followed through. So although it was in the waiting staff, yeah, you pick up these little things. Just good hard work, discipline, time management. Like you got to turn up on time for your work, and that's I mean, I've probably never been late to a work meeting or an interview or anything like that.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it matures you a lot quicker. I think.
Yeah, it does, and it is pretty fun actually working as a barman and a waiter and stuff. You have this sort of team camaraderie, working with everybody, and most customers are really nice, and it's a good learning curve overall, and it sort of promotes the idea of work, and it promotes the idea, like you say, all the time management aspects of things, earning money, teamwork, collaboration, ideas, like all sorts of stuff. I really enjoyed working in the banquet industry, and to be honest, my trajectory from what Neil's talking about was just slightly different, not the same, but slightly different in terms of I worked as a kitchen porter, then I was a waiter, then I was a barman, and then I was a manager. I think about 18, 19, I was sort of running and hosting weddings and stuff at Thameston House Hotel, and sort of doing the restaurant and all that kind of thing. And then I think I left there when I was about 18, 19 and went to work as a trainee manager at Marcliffe House Hotel. And that was it was like about a year where you kind of go through all the departments. So I had to go all the way through from like the restaurant through to the bar, to the private dining, to conference and banqueting. I had to do housekeeping for a month. Oh my God. That was horrific. That was like, I definitely bunked off. Like I'd leave early, like very early. Way earlier than I should have. There was no way that I was going to be staying that late. That was horrible. And then I did kitchen for 6 months as well. So I was like working in the pastry section, doing that for 6 months. And I think I did all that. Like I didn't go to university. I didn't sort of continue on because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. And this was kind of like after I'd traveled for a little bit. The hospitality industry seemed like quite an easy thing to do, and it was earning me money. And I think the last Cafe 52 was the last job that I had where I was a restaurant manager. I think I was maybe 20, where I ran the restaurant there, and it was kind of like a 50-seater restaurant sort of thing. And I did that, I think, for 6 months, and I guess we can go after it. But it was just kind of like I did really enjoy it, but I didn't really see the hospitality industry as like a long-term thing. I don't know if you ever thought about that. The money wasn't amazing, but the hours were super long. Like I remember my longest shift, I think, was like 27 hours or something. When I remember working in Thainstone's gym, so they had a fitness centre. That's where my whole gym and thing started when I was 15, because I worked in the reception handing out towels. So I did like a morning shift there at 6 a.m. and then I'd go into like the restaurant to do lunch, and then I'd go all the way through to like a end of a wedding. So I'd do like either a bar shift or whatever else. But because I'd worked at Thainstone for like 4 or 5 years, I knew the hotel like inside out, which then meant the night shift manager at the time didn't turn up. So if he didn't turn up, then I had to do that shift. So then that got straight to the morning. Then they didn't have enough breakfast staff because people were obviously hungover on a Sunday morning and they didn't want to come in and work. So then I did like up until like 10 or 11 o'clock the next morning on breakfast shift, and then I went home. And that didn't happen all the time, but I'd easily do like 18 to 20 hour shifts, like no bother.
Man, I remember we used to get like a hotel room sometimes if it was going to be like back to back, 3 a.m. finish, 6 a.m. start.
Oh yeah,
and you stayed in the staff house for a while, or the staff quarters.
Yeah, I left because I was like a senior manager or whatever, or assistant manager or whatever it was at Thameston at some point. Then I just moved into the staff house, and I think I lived there for about six months or something. Because I left home when I was 18, and I was straight out the door. Got that job, worked there for a little bit, and I I don't regret doing it because it was kind of work and I was earning money and doing whatever else, and it kind of leads me to the point I'm now, I guess. But maybe I could have gone to university, and actually got a degree and done all that kind of thing. But
yeah,
equally,
I mean, back to your question, did I see it as a long-term career? Never. Like, I really enjoyed it when I was in the moment. Like, I really enjoyed the camaraderie, the teamwork, the kind of friends you made. Like, you're all in it together to get to 3-4 in the morning, get a staff taxi home, or even go to the pub afterwards, have a few drinks. So yeah, that kind of social aspect was really good. I made some really good friends. But I knew that the hours weren't sustainable for a family, and the money was never going to be good. I mean, even at general manager standards, I'm probably earning more than the general manager at Thienston House.
Oh yeah, general manager at that time was maybe 50 grand. I think 45 grand.
Yeah, and the amount of responsibility they've got and the amount of shit they've got to put up with is just not worth it. Not worth it.
Yeah, it's awful. So we hit our 20s, Neil, and we're now actually men. We're not 14-year-olds drinking pints of Tennent's lager at New Year's Eve in a staff canteen. So what did you move on to then?
Yeah, so I studied IT in college, and that was kind of a natural progression into my first IT job, which was with the NHS in their help desk. So for anyone that doesn't know, a help desk is somebody who's sitting by a phone, and somebody would phone and say, I've forgot a password, or the computer's not working, or something's not working, and you either try and fix it there and then, or you pass it on to a second or third line person. So yeah, I did that for probably a year, 18 months maybe, and really enjoyed it. And I actually, there's quite a pivotal moment there where I tried to get a promotion. So I tried to go from first line to second line support into kind of the desktop team. And I mean, I knew I was ready from a technical perspective, and it was an obvious kind of progression up. Went to the job interview, and with the way the NHS works, it's a bit frustrating in terms of roles and stuff, because if you're, there's almost like a bench. If your role is not around anymore anywhere in the NHS, then you get put into a redeployment phase, where if a role comes up in the NHS, you automatically get put forward for it, and there's a kind of a priority. You're prioritised to get that position, which was frustrating. And you got people that didn't have any IT experience going into these roles that weren't really fit for them, but they had to be because they were on this redeployment list. And that whole shenanigans frustrated me. And then you've also got desktop engineers who have been there for 45 years doing the same job. And that also stifles a young person like me. If I want a promotion, he's not going to leave for another 5 years until he gets his pension. So, and he's not interested in promotion. He's just sitting there until he gets a promotion. So yeah, the public sector, great pension, but in terms of an eager 20-year-old wanting career progression, it was shit. So jumped into the private sector.
Neil's top 10 recommendations. Number 1, don't work in the public sector.
And I got a lot of kind of stick for moving to the private sector. Like, there's a lot of folk in NHS saying, "Oh, you're not going to like it. It's too risky."
This is something that Mum used to go on about. Like, Mum was a biomedical scientist. I always remember being like, "Mum, why don't you go and work earn more money somewhere else?" And she was like, "Yeah, but the NHS is really safe, and you get a good pension, and you're never going to get fired." And I'm like, that must be nonsense now. Because the pension's nowhere near as good as it used to be. Like, I can understand my mum probably thinking that, because she got a fat payout and an end of life pension aspect of things, whereas now you don't get any of that, I don't think. And
no,
like,
my salary, I probably got 50 to 75% more moving to the private sector.
Wow.
Although my pension wasn't that great, the salary was definitely a lot better, and the career progression was there. So I joined a private sector technology company in Aberdeen. Did help desk for a while for them, moved into kind of second line support, and then got a role which saw me look after a vice president in an oil company, which was probably a highlight in terms of my early 20s. So I used to go around with him in terms of his events. I used to travel to Amsterdam and Luxembourg every month, go to fond memories. I got invited down to Edinburgh, Murrayfield to see England vs Scotland in the Six Nations, and we got a box. There was a Mercedes kind of minibus down to Edinburgh, and it was all wined and dined hosted event. And yeah, just stuff like that. It was awesome, being close to him.
Can we mention the interview thing that you did, and they found pictures of you on Facebook?
Yeah, that was a friend of yours, actually. Yeah, so before I got this vice president job and before I joined the company, I applied for a job with another company in Aberdeen. And
this for anyone listening is a good lesson, a very, very good lesson. And I think I'd like to proposition it slightly better, if you don't mind, Neil. Where I was keen to see if I can get Neil a job. There was one of my clients had an IT firm, and he was like, yeah, I'll put him forward for a role for something. You know, you can go and get an interview and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. So then, Neil, it was up to you. It's up to you to go to that interview and get the job. And what happened?
I did. Well, I don't know if I even got the interview. I think they did a pre-search online on Facebook or Bebo or whatever it was, and so semi-naked photos of me in a drunken state. Yeah, having a good time.
Passed out next to a toilet with your trousers by your ankles.
Yeah. It was good times.
If Olivia, Isla, Ben and Lewis are listening to this, do not put compromising pictures of yourself on the internet, because your dad is an example of that, where he's not been able to get a job because he was a bit drunk one day and had pictures put up on Facebook about him.
Yeah, but it didn't stop me progressing.
No, it didn't. But I think you deleted them after that. I think you realised that it was bad to have that there, right?
And then went from kind of vice president support to various project management roles into an ops manager role, which kind of got me really ingrained in the kind of runnings of a company, especially an IT company, learning all about EBITDA and margins and utilization and all that stuff. So I did that for 18, maybe even 24 months. That was a really cool role, but again, lots of work, 12, 15-hour days, 7 days a week sometimes. I'd be on holiday in France with the family. I'd be getting calls at work. So it was pretty stressful, pretty demanding. Paid good. And then that took me up to my 30s, or my 29. And I'll pass over to Gordon to explain his 20s.
Oh, yeah. What happened to me? Well, I was at Cafe 52 doing this management thing, and it wasn't great. I didn't really enjoy it. You were working for sort of a private business owner and whatnot, and systems and procedures and all sorts of other things were just going on that just wasn't fun. So I was like, nah, I don't really want this. 6 months later. And I was, doing well at this gym thing. I won a bodybuilding competition. All was going well on that front. And I was like, you know what? I really fancy becoming a personal trainer. And I remember my girlfriend at the time just being like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, you're not going to make any money. It's just a dream. Like, what are you talking about? A classic chat that you have with people that probably don't necessarily think it's going to work, which is fair enough, because, when I decided to leave and become a personal trainer at Nuffield Health, I went from a job that was probably paying about 22,000, let's say between 22 and 25,000, including tips, which, covered my rent and the bills and all the stuff that goes alongside that. But I then took a job at Nuffield Health, which was basically like a gym instructor job for, I think it was at the time, minimum salary. The minimum salary then was, I think, £11,500 a year.
Wow.
So, post-tax, I got about £900 a month in my bank account, and that was my income. And I remember at the time I had rent. My rent was £525 a month, plus everything else, council tax, electric, and it was split in two with the girlfriend at the time. But that still only left maybe £200 or £300, if that, to feed myself and do things outside of it. So I definitely remember the first couple of months, 2 or 3 months, being pretty hard before personal training actually started paying me anything. And even then, my highest income at that time was like £2,200, and I was working 6 days a week minimum, and they were easily like 6 a.m. in the morning all the way through till 9 p.m. at night. 15-hour days every day, apart from maybe a Saturday where I'd work up to the afternoon. And I remember the 2.5 years there was a great thing to do, and I've absolutely no regrets on making that decision to change, because even though I was making £13 an hour, that was my apprenticeship, right? I could work hard in a gym which had loads of members, I had loads of leads in front of me, and I could do well and fail without ever really like losing any money or getting cancelled or whatever else you want to call it that. And that was really good, but it came to a point where I was delivering more sessions than anyone else at the gym as a personal trainer. I was delivering more sessions than nearly anyone else in the company. You know, I was like top 2 in the entire Nuffield company on delivering the amount of sessions that I was delivering, which got me, you know, recognised by the sort of fitness director team and the company director aspects of things, and they invited me down to London to talk about how we could improve personal training as a whole and do all these kind of things. And that was good. But the mad thing was, I saw a job advertisement for like regional manager. So a regional fitness manager would manage all of the clubs, like let's say 10 clubs in a certain area. And they were making like £24,000 a year. And I was just like, I'm making more than that just being a personal trainer. Like how
yeah,
like,
mad.
And I think the other things were a bit weird as well, where because I was on like a commission base, or the more sessions I did, the more I earned. I was like the second highest paid member of staff at the gym. So, you know, behind the general manager, I was earning more than everyone else. And I was kind of like thinking to myself, like, this is going really well, but it's Aberdeen. Like, Aberdeen's 200,000 people live here. Do I really want to be, and at that time I was single now, and, you know, do I just want to be a 20, 22, 23-year-old in Aberdeen working, and is this where I see it continuing to go? Because I started looking at opening my own gym and doing my own thing there, but then I was like, you know, is Aberdeen really where I want to be? And then I was kind of going through all these courses and doing all these things, and this gym came up called Ultimate Performance. And Ultimate Performance sold themselves as like Europe's best gym or something. And that was like, I'm going to go there. That's the gym I'm going to work at. It's the best gym in the UK. Like, it's a personal training gym. It charges the most. It does the most. Like, that's where I'm going to go. So the job role came up and I applied. I got taken down to London, flew down to London to do a little day with them to find out, have interviews, and I got the job. They offered me it there and then, and you know, a few weeks later, I moved down to London. I think it was like a November the 5th of November. I think I moved down, so Guy Fawkes Day, and I've been in London ever since. 10 years, and I worked as a freelance personal trainer up until I was about. I worked for Ultimate Performance 18 months, and I left and was a freelancer for that time. And then I basically, freelanced and did online coaching and all that kind of stuff, and basically built a little fitness thing for myself. And when I was 29, I think I was 29, I upped and just went traveling and worked online. Lived the tech-nomadic lifestyle, did 25 countries in 366 days. Worked online, ran that as an online business. And I guess my salary kind of went from, you know, £2,200 a month to 5, 6, 7, 8 times that. Yeah, which felt pretty good.
No, I mean, I think, it's really cool looking back, especially starting off early teens and then moving into the 20s. And then I think for both of us, the 20s were kind of pivotal, and especially where we are now. And there seems to be that, I don't know if you looked at it on a graph, is it a monetary graph? Is it a career aspiration graph? But we're definitely on the way up.
Yeah, it definitely was, you know, and it was during those times. I think both of us did it. I'm sure we did, but we worked hard and we played hard. You know, there was no like, oh, but I only work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Like, that's all I do.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, I didn't care. Like, people would be like, you know, I'd be in the gym for all that time, because when I was originally a personal trainer at Nuffield, I'd have gym floor hours that would kind of back up my salary a little bit to make sure it was like a bit of a security. It was always a salary. I'd get holiday pay and all that kind of stuff as well. And then my PT was kind of on top of that. But it was never in my mind where, like, I did sit down once and work out my hourly rate, and it was pretty bad because I was working so much. Like, it was under £10 an hour. But that didn't matter. Like, what mattered to me was becoming the best version, and the weird millennial kind of cliche thing of being the best version of myself. And just working really hard and learning as much as I possibly could and absorbing everything, because you're so time rich when you're that age. You know, you're so, like, unbelievably time rich. You don't need to sleep. You know, you don't need to go out every single night. You don't need to see your friends all the time. You just need to drop in and make sure you enjoy yourself and do those kind of bits and pieces. But fuck me, if you're just doing like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and that's all you're living for, Jesus God, like what are you doing?
Yeah, no, I think you've hit the nail on the head. And that's probably a lesson we took from the catering industry, because they're not really set hours. You leave when the last guest leaves. And yeah, I think throughout my 20s, there is no doubt, yeah, I always went that extra mile. If there's a project that needed to get over the line, I'd put the extra time in, effort in to do it, and not really ask for money back. And generally it comes back. You either get more time off, or your boss realises you've done a good job. You get vouchers to take your wife or girlfriend out for dinner, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, sound advice.
Yeah, it is, and I get it. People are going to take advantage of you, but I also still believe that if you want to win the game, you've got to be playing it.
Yeah,
and you can only get better if you're actually doing, like, working, and you're at work and you turn up. Like, there's no one's going to hand you anything. No one's going to give you anything. Sitting on the sofa, doing nothing, watching TV. Yeah, we should all enjoy that. Of course we could. And I guess there's kind of like this attitude of, like, pushing against the hustle culture. Well, fucking, what else do you expect? Like, no one's going to give you anything. No matter how no matter how rich or poor you are, at some point you're going to have to pull your trousers up and go and do something.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I felt a bit aggressive there. Oh, maybe I'll hold back.
Moving on to our 30s, and the job I'm in just now.
Oh, so, the 30s. Oh, Neil, the 30s. I thought you'd forgotten about the 30s.
I don't think I've been this relaxed and have this amount of flexibility in my short career so far. I think I'm in a really, really good position just now, earning the most I've ever earned, have the most time off I've ever had, and I've got a boss that I can generally work, as long as I get the job done, generally work whenever I want, and in that 4-day week period. So yeah, loving life, moved into a startup. I guess I'll talk about that transition. So in the ops management role, pretty comfortable. I could see the performance of the business unit I was in. I knew I had a job for life if I wanted it. I could see a small amount of progression, but there's a bit of a ceiling there. And when COVID hit, or early 2020, I started speaking to the startup about a job, and I think it was Feb or March time when COVID hit, I got a job offer to join them. So as you can imagine, going from a really secure job to a startup where the cash runway was only about 6 or 12 months at the time, maybe 12 months, was a risky thing, but it meant some equity in the company. It meant more salary. So for taking that risk, they were going to give me more salary from what I was on in that ops role, and a chance to, I've always wanted to work for a startup, so a chance to just try something different, be part of a small team, build a product, work with customers to make something. And yeah, made the decision to jump in June 2020, never looked back. We had a successful exit, didn't become a millionaire, but it was successful for a few people, and I think it was successful for me in terms of my personal development. I got a bit of a bonus out of it, and we're now part of a consultancy that acquired us, and again I can see really good progression there. They're looking after me already. Again, more money on the table, and yeah, I'm loving life. And
I'm curious about that time in your life, because we had a conversation. I remember when you came down to London. I think it was maybe in between pandemic or something. You were in London for work, maybe, and we sat in the Smoking Goat. I think it was in Shoreditch. I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I was concerned. I think I was a little bit worried about you, because at this stage in our lives right now, previously, I'll kind of describe it, maybe in your 20s, you should have wheels, right? You should be able to roll around doing all the things, just doing everything you possibly can, and it doesn't matter where you are and how you're doing it. Or wings, like wheels or wings, whatever it's called. But when you're in our situation where you have a kid and you have a mortgage and you have responsibilities, part of you is kind of like rooting down. So you're finding like kind of, solid ground. You're making sure that you're kind of digging yourself in a little bit. You're starting to find a career and a job that pays well, that kind of may not have the progression or maybe have the overall ambition that it gives you, but it helps you provide for your family. And COVID struck as well at that time, and you were talking about this kind of like startup thing that you kind of wanted to go and do and whatnot. And I felt compelled as a big brother to ask the difficult questions, like, is this the right thing to do? Do you think that taking a risk like this is the best thing to do at your age and with your responsibilities? And that wasn't a judgmental thing, and the decision you made's clearly paid off, and you've done very well at it. But I was worried about that because you had a good job at the time, you paid well, you'd been there for a while, you were pretty well cemented in the company, but then equally I felt like because you had kids so young at 24, part of it was, it's difficult to be ambitious when you have such responsibilities, and this felt like the kids were kind of grown up enough, but maybe not. But I still think you have that hunger and desire and fire in you to have an element of ambition, even though you've got a responsibility like that.
Yeah, no, I do remember that conversation. It was just before COVID hit, and I was down there for my birthday with Cameron. And I think one of the main reasons I joined the startup was, or not the main reason, sorry, when I was thinking through the risk and the reward side of things, the biggest risk is that the cash runs out, and we had two co-founders who were very open and honest about what was in the bank. So we had a clear kind of cash runway where we could see, right, in December, there's no money left if we don't get the funding and don't get the investment we need. So I could prepare for it. So I could get my CV ready. I could start having coffees with people. And if I didn't get a job for a month or two, I had cash in the bank to be able to survive. I also have a supportive family. If things got really, really bad, I could get food vouchers from the government. So I always felt I managed that risk as best I could.
But I guess it's not even like part of this. Part of this is, yeah, sure, okay. You have liquidity and you have support behind you overall. But there's like an internal thing, isn't there? Similar to me coming to London. You got to back yourself. Look at your credentials, look at your skills, look at who you are, and be like, am I good enough? And maybe even that question didn't even come around to your head, but you clearly backed yourself. You knew you were good enough to go and do this job. And that was it.
Yeah.
You just went with it.
Indeed.
And then here we are. I'm in my 30s now, and I've done my traveling thing. And then the weird bit happens where I come back from traveling. I don't mind talking about money, but maybe it's a bit vulgar, a bit crass, but doing well, 6 figures, whatever else, had a house, living a good life, came back. My online business wasn't as good as it was previously. I didn't have any one-to-one clients at the time because I had just come back from traveling. So my income kind of dipped, right? It probably dipped by about half. And that was hard to deal with. That was really hard. You're like riding this train, like you talked about, this upward trend of, success, more. Like it feels amazing. It's like a friggin' drug. But then suddenly you're like, oh, no, I'm not upward. I'm actually down a lot. What do I do? And I've also just come back from traveling. Like, have I just completed life? If I just, I've gone to the Maldives on my laptop and I've made money on the internet and it's incredible.
Yeah.
So I think I lulled for like 2 or 3 years where I went back to the one-to-one stuff, did a bit of the online stuff and it was fine, but it just didn't feel the same. Wasn't excited about it as I was previously, and I was a bit bored, I guess. But then this whole like creative videography stuff, like I was really getting involved with that, making YouTube videos over that time, the whole daily vlogging thing that I did, and then the travel vlogs and all that kind of stuff. So I was still doing that. And then a job kind of role came up working for Luke Johnson, who we just had on the podcast. He was like, I need a videographer. I was like, I'll do it. So we set up an agreement, 3 days a week, I get a certain amount of income, and I make videos for them. And I did that for about a year. And that increased my skills, made me better and better. And then I got some more clients with this videography thing. So basically, Greenhorn Creative was born. And I was making way more money than I was with my personal training. I was still doing some like one-to-one clients and some online stuff. And yeah, it became the thing that made me a very good income. And then this YouTuber called Ali Abdal, who I'd listened to or watched for ages, posted a video saying he's hiring. And one of the jobs was a videographer. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll apply. And I was still going through this kind of like identity crisis. Am I a personal trainer or am I a professional photographer? And so I applied and I got through to the next stage. And then I got through the next stage and I'm like, okay, this is serious. Like people actually think I'm actually good. What the hell's this? And then I get through to like an interview stage, and then I get through to like a trial day stage, and then I get a random phone call on a Tuesday night at 7:00 on WhatsApp, and they're like, hey, do you want the job? And I'm like, shit.
Yeah, I remember that moment.
I've not been employed for like 10 or 11 years. Like, this is my first job. And, you know, I negotiated on my salary and made sure that it was, you know, worth what I thought it was because of the fact that my creative business was doing so well at the time. And I've taken the opportunity, and here I am. Like, I am a professional videographer, photographer, creative for a large YouTube channel. That's what I do.
Yeah, massive.
And weird way to do it, but I think one of the things I didn't want to talk about too much was just like the things that we've done, like what are the partial lessons that have kind of intertwined in the story. And for me, I've always had a side hustle. There's always been something that I'm doing that's on the side that I'm crafting or trying to learn or trying to do. At the moment, I'm trying to find that, and I'd like to see if I can get back to doing something that's like that. But video and photos were always a means for me to be able to have a hobby outside of fitness, which was my job. And I get kind of obsessed, I guess, and I want to be better, and I keep practicing. I kept practicing, I kept learning, kept doing, kept making, kept publishing, kept just constantly trying to get better at it. And somehow I've convinced someone to pay me, to employ me as a videographer, photographer for a big YouTube channel. Like, it's insane. Awesome. It's insane. And
I think the biggest thing for me is it's all self-taught. So you didn't do a 5-year uni degree in creativity or videography. You picked up a camera, watched Casey Neistat for 500 days.
Yeah.
And smashed it.
Yeah, because that was it. Like, there's a great book. I can't remember the author's name. Austin Kleon, who wrote a book called Steal Like an Artist. You know, I just watched Casey's vlogs and I was like, I want to do them. So I bought all the camera kit that he uses and I just made videos. There was no like, oh, I don't know what to make about, or I don't know what I'm going to do. I just made it like him. Like, I'd watch his videos and I was like, screw it, I'm going to make them. And then other things, I'd watch a YouTube video, be like, oh, that's a cool thing. Right, let's try that. I'll put that in my next video. Oh, that looks cool. I'll try that in my next video. Oh, and that cool. And this just kind of culminates into like a skill, right? It turns into something, and that's what it was. So, yeah, I definitely would suggest anyone, like, learn something, for God's sake. Like, don't just do your job. Don't let it define you, and go out and learn some new skills and new things. I'm considering learning some accounts and budgeting and stuff like that, which I think would be quite good. But that's for a different story. I'll tell you off camera why I think I might do that.
Nice. But yeah, so I think, finishing on that note, I think there's two big lessons. There's the keep learning, keep trying new things, but there's also when you're in your early 20s or late teens, just go that extra mile, keep working hard, say yes to most, if not anything, you get asked to do. And I think that'll have you in good stead. I mean, the yes thing's kind of interesting, isn't it? Because it's like, I remember my early days at Thainston, Mrs. Simpson. Early days at Thainston, she was a hard manager. But she said to me, Gordon, if a customer comes up to you and says, can you get this or can you do this, even if you think you can't do it or you don't know, say yes. Yeah.
Say yes. Because most of the stuff that we do isn't about life-saving, or it's not going to get anyone into like big trouble. And you can always say sorry. You know, you can always apologise. But if you say yes, you'll figure it out. You'll go and get that thing. Yeah. Like, the hot water tap doesn't work, so you carry a bucket of hot water up to someone because they want a bath.
Yeah, I remember that. Those days.
Okay, Neil, my battery's about to die, and I'm also pushing it because I'm at work doing this podcast, so I hope no one listens to it at work because they'll find out that I'm doing podcasts on work time. But this was a good one. I really enjoy these chats, Neil. I think we should. This is why we started this podcast, hands down, is because these are just so much fun. I really enjoy them. So we'll have to come up with more and more ideas. We've got a little bit of a bank, but I think we can think of more.
For sure. And if anyone's got any ideas or topics they want us to discuss, then drop us a comment on Instagram.
Yeah, we'd love that. Do you want to close it out, Neil?
Yeah, a good episode, a few lessons to take away. Keep working hard, keep learning, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Awesome. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye.